But you know who did make it onto the ballot for the general election in November? This guy. Hello? Who are you? It's a former congressman named Virgil Goode. Virgil Goode is a traveling man, ideologically speaking. He has been a Democrat and an independent and a Republican. But this year, Virgil Goode is running for president as the nominee of the rather right, libertarian-ish, Pilgrim-era, family values Constitution Party. And he will be on the ballot in November along with the major party candidates. Now, think about this strategically. Mitt Romney does not want to see Virgil Goode's name on the ballot as another right-wing candidate, right? He doesn't want to see Virgil Goode's name there as a choice for conservative Virginians other than him. Virginia's Republican Party challenged Virgil Goode's nominating petitions last week. They said Virgil Goode really didn't have enough valid signatures to qualify. Mr. Romney and the Republicans do not want him on the ballot because look at how he's polling. He's polling as high as 9%, and presumably those votes would otherwise go to Mitt Romney, and he needs every vote he can get in Virginia. One Virginia Republican said, quote, if you want to see Barack Obama reelected president of the United States, do whatever you can for Virgil Goode. Virginia Republicans challenged Virgil Goode's spot on the ballot, and the Virginia Board of Elections said, put him on the ballot anyway. And Virgil Goode is going to be on the ballot. Unless Virginia's Attorney General, this guy, Ken Cuccinelli, decides to kick Virgil Goode off the ballot. Ken Cuccinelli has been campaigning for Mitt Romney, including last week at the Republican convention. Under Virginia law, Ken Cuccinelli gets to decide whether Virgil Goode gets his name on the ballot or not. He promises, look at the headline, he promises that he will be absolutely objective about this whole thing. Absolutely. Virginia is getting 3 different Mitt Romney ads this week. Virginia, Ohio, New Hampshire, Iowa, Colorado, Nevada, North Carolina, Florida. That's it. That's the election. That is who the country is counting on to handle this decision about the presidency for the rest of us, 8 states. So when stuff gets weird in one of those 8 states, when something like Virgil Goode happens in one of those 8 states, while that might be a weird sidebar Virginia story at any other time in any other political circumstances, right now, Virgil Goode is of national political importance. Joining us now is Steve Kornacki, co-host of MSNBC's The Cycle and a senior writer for Salon.com. Steve, welcome back. Great to have you here.
Great to be here.
Did you have a good time at the convention?
I had a great time. The crowd was really, it was a lot of energy there. I wasn't ready for that, but there were tons of people, and it was exciting to be there.
Is it now that you are a big MSNBC TV star, were you weirded out that everybody knows who you are?
Well, I said it doubled as an MSNBC convention, it felt like. But I had to say, like, a lot of times people would come up to me and say, you're that guy who's on with Rachel Maddow. Why isn't she here? So you were missed.
I could have sent you a little cardboard me. Yeah. If you were a Republican strategist, how concerned would you be about Virgil Goode on the ballot in Virginia?
No, I think that this is legitimate. I mean, it's a very sort of narrow set of circumstances where this could end up being decisive in the presidential election. It needs to be, razor thin in the Electoral College. So we're basically at, a 50-50 race, and it comes down to Virginia. Virginia is the decisive state, sort of the way Florida was in 2000, Ohio was in 2004. And then it comes into play. Okay, how many votes does he have, and who is he stealing it from? And you think back to 2000, look at the example of like Pat Buchanan down in Florida. Now, that was the result of ballot confusion, but you look at all of those accidental votes that Pat Buchanan got and how that skewed that state. Or you could look at Ralph Nader and say the same thing with the 93,000 that he got. The thing about Virgil Goode is, everywhere else in the country, he would be a fringe candidate who would get a microscopic share of the vote. But he has a deep political base, and he has deep political roots in Southwest Virginia. This is a guy who, you say the name Virgil Goode in New York and California and Texas, who is he? Right. You say the name in Southwest Virginia, they know this guy. And we've been talking all year about how Mitt Romney has a problem, with the enthusiasm of the Republican Party base. So this is that. There's this one sort of very small corner of the country where not only does the Republican base maybe have a little bit of a problem with Mitt Romney, but there is a conservative on the ballot who they actually know and who to them is a legitimate political figure, a guy who served, I think, 12 years in the House. He was in the legislature forever down there in Virginia. This is a guy they know. And again, all he needs in that corner of the state maybe is about 10%. That starts to affect the statewide total. So yeah, it could be big.
And we're at the point in the campaign when the field is being narrowed, and so therefore we get magnified political import of these internal dynamics in these individual states. And because of that, I feel like we ought to question whether or not the field really is narrowed. Like, we've got this decision from the Romney campaign to get out of Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania. The Romney super PACs essentially followed suit on that. Are they doing that potentially as a fake? Is this a commitment that actually they have to now follow through on leading up to the election? It has big consequences.
I think they're trying to. I think part of this was, look, they wanted to make some news here coming right out of the Democratic convention. They've also got this pile of money they can start spending now because he's officially the Republican nominee. So this is sort of the start. They're trying to make some hints now, leave some hints out there that they could go back and expand this later to Wisconsin, to Michigan, to Pennsylvania. But the interesting thing to me is when we start talking about these swing states, I think the way this sort of gets conventionally talked about in politics, I think we have it slightly wrong, where we look at it and we say, well, we've got the national polls, but let's really look at the swing states. And when you do that, you see that Obama's ahead in all these swing states right now. And we come to this conclusion, I hear this a lot, that Mitt Romney has this narrow path to 270, that there's this extra challenge for Mitt Romney on top of the popular vote. And I think we're reading it wrong. I think the fact that Barack Obama is leading in all these swing states tells us that Barack Obama has been leading in the presidential race all year. The race is commonly, you hear, dead even, neck and neck, virtual tie. That's generally how this thing gets talked about. If you look at, I think the best thing to do is not to look at, individual polls here and there, Gallup here, PPP there. Look at these poll averages. Like Real Clear Politics does them, HuffPost does them, where they average everything together and they come up with that trend line. If you look back at Real Clear Politics, Barack Obama has been ahead since Mitt Romney became the Republican nominee, and it's fluctuated a little, but basically it's been 2 to 3 points.
And that's looking at an electoral college count, right?
And then, so if you're ahead 2 to 3 points nationally, you're going to be ahead in Ohio, in Virginia, in Colorado, in all these states. If Mitt Romney can turn around and get ahead 2 to 3 nationally, he takes the lead in these states. But I think the conclusion is Barack Obama's been winning this year.
Even without Virgil Goode.
That's right.